everybody accuses politicians of being dirty, and yet they never get prosecuted for it.
Right.
So, you know, to some degree, I hear what you're saying about creating a slippery slope about you know, prosecuting our politicians, but I'm not sure there's been enough of that.
Well, I mean, there's not, because you got a situation in which, you know, we have legalized bribery.
Yeah,
is the best way to put it. You know, Joe Blow goes and contributes $25, $50, $100 to a candidate that he supports. It's because he wants this guy to be able to put ads on TV or in the newspaper. You know, these executives at oil companies and others, you know, sending thousands of dollars to candidates, and it's clear why they're doing it. I mean, you know, Rick Perry gets in trouble because he gets into a little feud with Ms. Lemberg, who, you know, I'm sorry, you're the head law enforcement official in a county and you end up in jail because of your actions. You know, you might want to rethink your career on that. But Denton, Texas passes an ordinance saying no fracking within the city limits. The citizens of Denton said we don't want it. Well, what happens? You've got legislators who have received thousands upon thousands of dollars from energy companies passing a law that says, you know what, even though y'all voted for that, your law, you can't enforce it. We're going to sit there and say that, you know, a municipality can't pass a law saying that someone can't frack. And yet, you know, is anyone being called to account for, you know, coercion or anything else in that situation?
And no, and I agree with everything we said. Free speech should never be criminalized. I mean, and when it is, it needs to be so narrowly tailored and drawn that it's clear-cut free speech. I mean, if I hire somebody to kill my wife and I'm serious about it, then that is free speech, but maybe that should be criminalized. But I think in everything we talked about so far, I mean, Rick Perry was just being a politician, and he was using his power and flexing his muscle. In the end, is that criminal? No. I think when we think about prosecuting politicians, I think about bribery. I think about when you accept money to influence your decision over my life. I think that's something I want to prosecute it. When I think about prosecuting politicians, I think about prosecuting for crimes that are clear-cut crimes not related to the office. When you commit fraud, not even related to being a politician, you just commit fraud. You commit murder, you commit perjury, or you commit theft of some sort. That, I think, being prosecuted, you know, in that sense. But when you do your job, and you may not like the way he did his job, and that's what it boils down to. You may not like the way you've done it, but when you do it within the confines and the power enumerated to you, and I'm not for the creation of more criminal laws to police activity, to further police us. I mean, we don't need, every time a problem arises, we don't need another criminal law put in place to correct that problem. I mean, that's just crazy. We end up having all these laws on the books that overlap each other. You can be charged 5 different ways for committing theft, and it doesn't make any sense.
And it's part of the problem that we center when you've got ethics complaints against politicians, that it all comes out of Travis County. Mm-hmm. You know, is that, you know, you've got a Republican-dominated legislature, and you got Travis County, which is one of the last seats of liberalism in Texas, and that's the office that prosecutes these matters. You know, is it maybe time that the laws change as far as who can prosecute for these types of offenses?
It's pretty funny because you know, the offensive act that Perry did in this case was to defund the public integrity unit of, I guess, their district attorney's office, which is the part of the district attorney's office that investigates misconduct by public officials. I saw a chart recently of judicial spending in the Texas budget. You know, it was a bar graph, and it was like, you know, district attorney's office. Ooh, you know, that's like 50% of the budget or whatever. There were 2 categories that were funded at 0%. One was public integrity, and the other was death penalty defense.
Well, I mean, public integrity, we're dealing with politicians. Yeah, that's kind of like an oxymoron.